to try and increase our communication about the programs that we're doing, and hopefully we'll have the collaboration of this group, because I know data can be sensitive from the provider side as well, and so we want to be very cognizant of both privacy and burden when we think about the data that we bring in. But the analysis that we put out, I think we can also work on.
Amias, thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our first panel, Unleashing a Robust Product and Service Marketplace, and our moderator, Keith Catanzano, co-founder and partner, Two Rivers Consulting Group. And our panelists, Rohit Arora, CEO, Biz2Credit; Janie Barrera, founding president and CEO, Acción Texas; James Hobson, COO, On Deck Capital; and Gustavo La Sala, CFO, Opportunity Fund.
Well, good morning. Good morning. This is our panel to talk about unleashing a robust products and services marketplace. And quite frankly, I feel that we are extremely fortunate to have we are in the back, no? Better? Better. So, okay, great. So this is our panel for unleashing a robust products and services marketplace. And quite frankly, looking at this panel, I think we are extremely fortunate to have not only a group of folks who are practitioners, but also leaders in using technology and innovation to advance small business lending and microfinance. I had the good fortune to be part of Ira Lieberman's consulting team that Connie referenced earlier, working with AEO over the past several months to interview all of these organizations and learn from them about what has worked, what some of the barriers and challenges that they faced to advance small business lending through technology and through innovation. And they represent a terrific cross-section of innovators in both the for-profit and not-for-profit space, doing just fantastic things. As an example, we heard earlier from Mitch about MMS, a technology that Gustavo helped originally develop and that Janie's organization uses daily and makes available to other CDFIs, which is standardized underwriting that CDFIs perform and makes the process a bit more streamlined based on its handling of data. And speaking of data, some of the technologies that Rohit and James will talk about have reached deep into very detailed sources of data, such as detailed cash flow, public records, and social media data, so that they can assess and tier risk, verify information, and match loan terms, amounts, and pricing to optimize profitability. So we have just a terrific panel teed up for a great discussion this morning. And I'd like to start with each of you to take just a couple of minutes and share your views on how technology and innovation is helping and can help achieve in the future scale and increased access to capital for the small business lending and microfinance borrowers, and in particular, barriers that you've faced and overcome. So Rohit, if we could start with you to share your views.
Yeah. So thanks.
Fairly close.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity, and being a minority small business owner, myself, I would say, founded the company 7 years back, and I don't wear suits, everybody else. I always see wearing suits and ties, and I don't have a suit or a tie, so like, pretty informal. So I think one of the things that I have found, and I think we are fortunate enough, me and my brother, we came from India and first generation immigrants, and when we started the company, we really got the idea to help minority underserved markets in New York area actually. And one of the things that we found out was that, the role of, say, technology is very important. So a lot of people take it for granted, and a lot of people said that, mainstream businesses will not use the technology, but even the minorities and underserved will not use the technology even more. And over last 5 years, what we have seen is that actually minorities are using the technology in a much better and a much smarter way. And that has been very surprising for us. And one of the things that we do a lot is we actually advertise a lot in ethnic radio channels and TV channels And over the last 2 years, we have developed a mobile-first platform. And what we have seen is that 42% of our traffic comes from mobile, but in the minority and the women's space, actually that's 60 to 70%. That's the first point of their access. And the second thing that we have also seen is that you have to provide them with the guidance and the help along with the technology. So technology standalone will not solve the problems. So you have to continuously keep improving it, but at the same point of time also empower people internally so that they can use the same technology and the tools. And then the third aspect is the data, which is very important. So what we have tried to do is that, being a small business marketplace, and we offer all kind of products, starting from short-term cash advance to SBA loans and going up to 5 million and even 504s. So the big challenge for us always has been that how we streamline the processes, how we make it easy, both for business owners as well as for accountants and other intermediaries who will get involved somewhere, to make it streamlined and easy for everyone. And that has been a challenge, continuous challenge that we are trying to solve. And the other challenge is the challenge of language. So most of the business owners, when they come in, and especially if they're minority and the country is changing, what we are starting to see is minority is becoming the new majority. In next 5 to 7 years, we are already seeing a lot of business acquisition happening from immigrants, women-owned businesses, and a lot of new businesses getting started. So the first language, or the first point of interaction, what language they can get support in, what kind of guidance they can get, is something very important. And from that aspect, doing a lot of stuff which is interesting for them and not just trying to sell them credit every day, all the time, has been one of our philosophies, producing research reports, doing a lot of education stuff, online as well as offline. And I think what we have found is that we work very closely with Axion USA, with Valley Economic Development Corporation, Center for New America. And what we have found is that, if people are given the right tools, and even business owners, they actually are willing to go through a process to get a loan which is reasonably priced and reasonable terms. And most of them get discouraged, and that's why they have to borrow at very high cost today. But if they get the opportunity, they are willing to go through the process. The only thing is that it needs to get streamlined. And from a technology, what we have seen is that you can really lower the cost. So we have helped Axion USA not just to get more customers through our platform, but the default rates are lower. That's something very interesting. Our overall default rates is less than 1.3%, including cash advance, over the last 6 years. So what we have found is that if you keep the customers engaged, if you actually help them to do asset liability matches, help them to use the funds better, a lot of time they will not go into a default. Nobody wants to default intentionally. There are few people who would, but most of them want to run a good business. And that's where what we have found is that by trying to keep them re-engaged, by trying to help them that, okay, you got a more high-cost product, and using the technology algorithms as well as the human touch, we constantly try to cannibalize that piece ourselves and say, okay, you got something high cost, we'll help you with something medium cost and then low cost. So how you go up the value chain, both from a credit perspective as well as from a knowledge perspective. So I think that has been a key learning for us, and that has been a very humbling experience for us also, that we have learned a lot from business owners. They are some of the smartest people out there, most motivated people, and I think that's a two-way learning, which is also very important, we feel.
Good morning, everyone. Back in 1998, we were 3 employees based in San Antonio, Texas. And so we started using technology since then, because when a funder came to us and said, can you go down to the South Texas and show the nonprofits that we're funding down there how to make loans? And I countered the funder, and I asked, well, will you give us some seed money to figure out a way for Axion Texas to grow into the Valley of Texas? And so they said, okay. So then I went to Citibank, because they have a big call-in center in San Antonio, and I asked if I could borrow one of their guys to create a blueprint to use technology to expand. And then I went to Chase, because the chairman of Chase was on our board, and asked if I could borrow a CFO. At that time, remember, there are 3 people, no CFO, no IT, nothing. We did everything. We did the collections. Everything was on an Excel spreadsheet, right? So, bringing smart people together, those 2 guys came, and other team members, and we then made a case that instead of creating separate 501c3s in different cities in Texas. What if you had a centralized backroom operation that would then you put feet on the ground and in these different cities and be able to make more loans? And so the foundation, at that time it was Levi Strauss Foundation, said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So they gave us $110,000 to open up shop in McAllen, Texas. And so what we did was we created the T1 line, right? We started using technology and putting computers there. And then over time, people asked us then to go into different cities. So over time, we ended up in 10 cities in Texas, centralized location, San Antonio. So you put feet on the ground, a computer, people, and then hit a button. Obviously, it's not this simple, but anyway, the information comes to San Antonio, and then the underwriting is done there, and closing is done locally. So then what is a border, right? Nothing with technology. So that's, therefore, now we serve not only Texas, but the Mississippi Delta states, so the states along the Mississippi River, some of the poorest counties and parishes in our country. And so then we started gathering all this data. We thought, gosh, you know, we have all this data, how can we use it to make better decisions from the data? Because we had gone to other sources and they'd say, no, we can't help you because you don't have enough data. So back in 2004, 2005, this smart intern that was going to the University of Texas in Austin named Gustavo La Sala came and interned for us for the weekend, for the summer, excuse me. And so I said to Gustavo, will you take the data that we have in place and create a profile of a good paying customer and a not so good paying customer? And thus MMS was created. And so the scorecard was created. And since that time, Citibank continues to be the godparent of MMS because of the innovation that we could bring to the industry. So we then have started talking the story about MMS, and there are a few of you in the audience who are actually participants with the program, and they will tell you that by using this product, they've been able then to make more loans than they've ever done before. But the difference here is the way you do business. To use this model, you've got to be able to have a sales mentality. So when you said selling credit, wow, that is a way that we're able then to go out into market. But as a practitioner and as our mission, we have this dual hat, right? It's not only selling the credit, it's also the technical assistance piece that we've got to bring to our borrower. And so I think when you say barriers, I think for us as not-for-profit organizations, yeah, funding is the big barrier, but also it's the outcomes. Because I bet you the guys here that are for-profit aren't asked questions by their investors, what's happening to that person that you're working with? You know, after you give them the credit, that they go out and, you know, make better lives for their families and so on, that what they're saying out there is, how are we making money, right? So I think that's the discussion that we have as practitioners. How do we do both? How can we reach scale? How can we raise the money? How can we make people have better lives, right? And so that's a challenge, and working together, hopefully we can get an answer.
Good morning. So I actually kind of want to build on what Janie said, because I think if you think about technology and not necessarily the way we're using it, but the way that you could use it, I think technology is awesome. I think it's the great equalizer. And I think the challenge is